How do you fall in love with how you sound?
Appreciate that voice. It does something to somebody.
Yeah.
It communicates something to somebody, and you're gonna have to fall in love with your voice. Not out of arrogance, but be humble and say, God gave me this voice. God gave me the sound of this voice. And there is a reason. You go back to what you said around mandate. What is her mandate?
Yeah. But what are the elements that we can use to make sure that we are presenting a piece or writing a piece that's going to resonate and drive a specific emotion?
So number one, do you know your target audience? Who's your target audience? Research your audience, understand what type of content they're looking for. And I'm going to also say this, if you feel that is not you, let's not go and make up things just to look good. People can see through you. A nugget of your story can propel somebody else to live out their purpose and their destiny.
What do we mean when we say that your body language is important? Do I have to be like up straight and like talk like this? How do I ease into a good body language that commands presence?
93% of communication is nonverbal.
Hello, Resonate community, and welcome to the best and the biggest sales and entrepreneurship podcast in the whole wide world. You guys know I always bring you good people. And like I said, it's Women's Month, and we are talking to extraordinary women that are going to leave so many nuggets from their expertise and from their careers that are going to blow your mind. So I hope you've got your notepad, your notebook, whatever it is you use to write notes. I hope you have it today, because today we are learning the art of communication. Let's talk social. Let's talk in person. Let's talk speaking. Let's talk moderating. Let's talk in your marketing as a business. This is what we are talking about today. And today I have the communication extraordinaire expert, Nomalanga Sitole. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, Resonate community. It is an honor and a pleasure. As my gorgeous host has said, my name is Nomalanga Sitole. Intombe balamalanga. # communicator extraordinary.
Ooh, I love that. I feel like you need to teach all of our guests now how to do that.
There's methods to this madness, but we'll get into it.
So how did I do with my intro? Did you like it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I got a tick, which means we are moving, we are grooving. Oh, I love it. I'm so excited to talk to you today because,
Likewise.
like we were saying before we started, is that communication is very much misunderstood, and it's so complex, but also so easy to learn, but only when people understand. So today, I really would like to pick your brain on so many things communication based. But before we do that, I am chastised in this community if I don't do something, which is called our fire round of questions.
Wow.
Because our audience loves knowing the person that we're talking
Absolutely.
to. So I'm just going to ask you 2 brief questions that we're going to get into, just to get to know who Nomalanga is, what does she like, etc., etc. And my first question to you is that I've been enjoying asking all of our guests this question because it really gets me to see what they would be doing instead. So my first question for you is that if you were to change a career or maybe do something else for a day, who would it be? What would it be? And why?
I would love to work in theater, as in hospital theater.
Wow.
Yeah, my mom is a nurse.
Okay.
And so in the days when she was training up as a nurse, she took me into theater, and I thought, I love seeing bodies. I love seeing the anatomy. Yes, ma'am. Of
Like
a human,
opened up and everything.
Open everything, not just everything. There's something about that for me, right? So I just never got there because I'm not needles, I'm not blood. But I think for me, theater is one of the cleanest places you'll find in a hospital. And I just want to see, where's the brain? Where's the heart? Where's the connecting?
Oh my God.
Trust me, just for a day, just to understand, okay, who are we?
Yeah.
How has God created us, right? Because right now we just walk around, we just see us in clothes and everything. But I want to get deep into that. So yeah, probably a nurse or a doctor in the theater room. Dr. Nomalanga. Yes.
Dr. Nom. I love it. Sounds so good. That's so interesting. Every time I ask people this question, it kind of gives me an idea of what they care about most.
Oh,
and when you answer that, I think to myself, just by answering that, you come across as somebody who cares a lot about the detail, the intricacies of how things come together.
Yes.
That's why theater for you would be something that's so interesting because it's like you want to see what are these pieces that come together to make this whole thing. Oh, that is so good. I love that. What's your favorite movie?
Yeah. Runaway Train?
I've never watched that. Who's it by?
Denzel Washington.
Oh, okay.
Where the train just does not stop and it keeps going, and he has to be that person that actually manages to stop it.
the train.
And it kind of goes like this, and I'm just like, Lord, are they gonna make it? But there's something about that. For me, I think I get out of it. Impossible is nothing. When you think, oh my gosh, I can't do this. There is that extra step. Right. Talk about movies. Can we just go briefly into documentary? I've been watching Serena Williams, her documentary.
Oh, love it.
Don't ask me why. I've just bumped into them. And I think the one thing she says when she beat her sister, I think when she was Serena Slam after 4 times winning, and she said she realized she gave herself permission to be great.
Sure.
How many times do women struggle to give themselves a permission to be great? I always say we've been given God's gifts and talents, whatever they are, communication, wherever God puts you. Like sometimes we really just underplay ourselves, and yet the world is looking for you and I to stand up in our greatness and say, yes, it can be done, regardless.
Ooh. You know what you just said? Like I'm literally getting chills all over, because it's so important. And also at the same time, like I think to myself, like what stops us from giving ourselves the permission to be great? It's like, are we constantly looking for outward approval all the time?
Ooh, that's always the big thing. I'm in the communication space. I MC, I facilitate, I moderate, all those good things. So you're in front of audiences, and sometimes you're expecting a certain response. And when you don't get it, you think, okay, have I done something wrong? And then you kind of then start going back into a shell. Whereas just perhaps something you said was so gobsmacking that people internalize it and don't give you an outward response.
You know, you're just throwing like bomb after bomb after bomb after bomb, and I'm just like trying to catch everything.
Unprepared for those bombs either, but I think that's what our audience needs to hear. There is greatness in you. Like, can we stop trying to downplay our greatness?
You're so right. You know, I'll tell you this. What you just said was like a light bulb for me. I'll tell you this. When I started my speaking, I got an opportunity to speak at, I think it was like a CEO summit 3 years ago. And I was still coming up at the time, and I spoke, right? But the speaker before that, like when they spoke, people were like responding and oh my gosh. And So I think subconsciously I expected that as well. And when I spoke, it's like people were listening. And I spoke 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 and I spoke. And I finished. And I was just like, shucks, I must have sucked. Because they didn't respond to me like they were responding to the other guy. So when I went and actually sat down, I was just like, I just felt so down. I just felt like maybe I didn't do as well as I thought I wanted to do, etc., etc. And then after the event, literally, I had so many people come and say, it was amazing. I was just sitting there like asking so many questions to you know, and I was just like, what do I, and this and this. And I think then I realized that people don't always have to respond for it to be effective.
I learned something doing, I think it was an online interview, and I was teaching, funny enough, on the same topic, the art of communication. And I was going through, you know, the do's, the don'ts, you know, look at this, look at that. And a young man said to me, a lot of the times we don't respect silence. Hold on to my chair. I was like, sorry, I've been a speaker this long. The what? So and true. He said to me, you know, a lot of the times we're so used to just response. Remember, people sometimes just listen just to respond.
Yes.
And he says, can you imagine when you bring that gap moment and it takes time for people to internalize what you've said? I have never forgotten that. So as a communicator, it goes back to light and shade. It doesn't mean you have to speak the entire hour that you've been given, but how do you pause it? How do you give people an opportunity to internalize? I always say to people, I'm not a motivational speaker. I'm not here to motivate you. Motivation for me is I row you, you walk out of whatever event and life carries on. However, inspirational, inside of you, you leave thinking, she said something. How do I internalize that to change my trajectory, to change my mindset? And so I cringe when they say, Nomalanga Sitole, motivational. I'm like, no, I'm an inspirational. You know, I corrected so quickly. So that's the do's, the don'ts, and the, okay, let's just give time to Let it seep in.
Yes, sure. You know, when you say motivational speaker, I think we are coming into an age where people are now slowly starting to understand the speaking career. I think
Absolutely.
before everybody just thinks that like if you are a speaker, you're a motivational
There you
speaker
go.
because what else would you be speaking about? I've been introduced in stages before as a motivational speaker, and I was like, but my mandate is not here to
There
like
you go.
motivate you. That's not what they asked me to come and do. So
Mandate.
yeah, it's like now I don't, it's like now you have to correct it, but like
Yeah.
on stage. So interesting. So I part of our coaching program, we've got different clients that we take through, some of them depending on their business models, that we take through things like speaking and things like creating content.
Yep.
And I had a client recently who said to me that they don't like the sound of their voice. They just say to me, Michelle, I don't like how I sound. I don't like listening to myself.
Yeah.
And she had gotten an opportunity to speak at a conference. And she was like, I'm thinking of turning them down because I just don't think I'd be able to do it. How do you fall in love with how you sound?
Funny you mentioned that, Michelle. When I started TV, so my career dates back when I was a little girl, 18 years of age. I'll say it, I auditioned to be a co-presenter, made it. And there was something that I also didn't like. I used to watch back and I used to nod a lot. So over the years, I've gotten to be still, right? But can I tell you, same as your client, I don't generally like the sound of my own voice. Like they will record things and then I'm just like, I don't want to watch this. I don't want to hear my voice, because then I critique myself so much.
Yes.
But you have to fall in love with the sound of your voice because people are listening to you. I get a lot of people that say to me after I'm done, oh my gosh, I could sit here all day and listen to you. You've got like a radio voice.
Yeah.
I'm going to say to her, appreciate that voice. It does something to somebody.
Yeah.
It communicates something to somebody, and you're gonna have to fall in love with your voice, not out of arrogance, but be humble and say, God gave me this voice. God gave me the sound of this voice. And there is a reason. You go back to what you said around mandate. What is her mandate?
Yeah.
We may not ever like the sound of our own voices,
Yeah.
but don't miss out on great opportunities to go out there and do what God has called you to do, mandated you to do. Because you're like, I don't sound like.
Yeah.
A lot of us don't like a lot of things about ourselves.
That's very true.
Hello, I've got a forehead.
Oh,
I've
that's a club.
I've fallen in love with my forehead. Life carries on,
Yeah.
you know. So don't stop the opportunities where you have the mandate to impact, to inspire, to help somebody else turn their life around. Just because you don't like the sound, fall in love with the sound. There's times I do voiceovers and I'm just like, Yesterday, I was given a poem, one of mine, and I recorded it, one take wonder, in a bedroom, in the wardrobe. I listened back. I didn't even, I was like, yes.
Oh,
That was it. I sent it to the client and I said, I felt the words of that poem. I did not even do a second take. I was like, this is it. One take wonder. If I do it again, I'll mess it up.
Oh, I love that because essentially what you're saying is that feel what you're saying and mean what you're saying. Because that's where the presentation comes. Because if you feel it a certain way, it will sound a certain way. It will not be monotone. It will not, but you feel that is so powerful. So, because I do remember this very correctly for me. Growing up, my family is very musical. My father played a lot of instruments. And during Sunday evenings, would all line up to sing songs and all of that stuff. And my father's very particular with keys. And when you could get the right key, but not sing the song well. Because you don't mean what you're singing. You don't,
go.
It's like you sing a love song, but we're not feeling the love, girl. You know, and when you say that the light bulb is, do you mean what you're saying?
There you go.
Do you feel the words that are coming out of your mouth from word to word and what it actually means?
Practice what you preach.
Hey.
Da-da-da. I don't know, that song just came. Do you know what I'm saying? You have to. It goes back to authenticity.
Yeah.
It goes back to your authentic self.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Yeah.
Have you taken time to be comfortable in how you were created, fearfully and wonderfully made. Why I always say to young girls, because I have the opportunity of facilitating boot camps for young girls, don't copy and paste.
Yes.
You are an original. Please don't try and do what Michelle or I do.
Yeah.
Find who you are as we are teaching you, right?
Sure.
And you are not a counterfeit of somebody else. If God wanted to make you that other person, surely he would have done that.
Yeah.
And so I remember somebody saying to me, Norms, yes, look for mentors, look for role models, but understand, instead of idolizing that person, take what is working for them, translate it into what you need to deliver. I was like, what? Because this whole role modeling thing can go pear-shaped.
Yes.
Because now I want to dress how
Extremely.
Michelle dresses.
Yes.
I want to do her makeup. I'm like, so why are you duplicating Michelle?
Exactly.
Where is the real Michelle? Where is the real Nomalanga? And I always say that to people, that you were made the God, that height. I always say I was never there for the height. When God was like height, I was like, okay, Lord, 1.58, I'm good. And then I see tall people like, Lord,
He would have been so nice.
do you know what I'm saying?
so
So
true.
appreciate your authentic self. And that is one key message I always try and drive to our young people.
Yeah. That is so, so true. I love that a lot. And as obviously now we are growing into the digital age,
Yeah, boy.
and communications has just become, when we're not speaking on stages, we're speaking online.
There
We
you
are
go.
creating posts.
Yep.
We are going on IG Live.
Yep.
We are writing on our stories. And I've been very intrigued with the art of copywriting for the past couple of months, because I think from a business perspective, I've been trying to write things that resonate
Yep.
with people, that exude a certain emotion, and it might not be the way you will say it, because you have to use certain words. There's commas. There's a certain way that you write something. And I'm curious to hear from you. What do you think are the elements to writing something that resonates? And I even say this from like a scripting point of view. There is some content where we have to script. And for a lot of business people out there, they have to script that they say the right things. But what are the elements that we can use to make sure that we are presenting a piece or writing a piece that's going to resonate and drive a specific emotion?
So number one, do you know your target audience? Who's your target audience? I started off when I left corporate 9 years ago. I was like, I'm going to be speaking every day, all day. I'm going to be emceeing every day, all day.
Yeah.
Did I even have a business plan? Number one. Number two, did I even know industry rates? Number three, did I do my research? So those are the things that I had to learn whilst building this plane.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have the opportunity of doing this prior to getting into entrepreneurship, whatever marketplace you're in, but even if you find yourself like me, having not done it, there are people that can help you to do that. I always say to people, I know entrepreneurs, we are everything. You're the marketer, you're the PR, you're the copywriter, you're everything. There are people who are in your circle that you can barter with. I always say to people, you know, we're so fixated on money as in the chilete, you know what I'm saying? But let's barter services. Let's barter and understand. I've got Stephanie who does digital, who does whatever I cannot do. What is it that I can do for Stephanie? Let's work it like until you get to that point where you're saying, okay, I can foot out a 15K budget, you know, every month or every 3 months. Number one. So you've gotten your target audience. Look at how they speak, right? What is it that they are looking for in you? Ask. Here's one thing I learned during the pandemic. Please go and ask. Sometimes we want to just shoot content because, hey, me, this is the content that I want. But does your audience want that content? Back to resonating.
Yeah.
Does the audience want that content? Do they understand? So please go back. I mean, there's Google Analytics. There's all of these good things that help you, right? There is hashtags that you know, okay, this one will fly, this one will not fly, right? Family, we've got Malume or Uncle www.jujul.com.
Yeah.
Hello.
That's it.
That's it. And there's people that have gone before us. Watch people on TikTok, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and understand all these platforms are different. On Facebook, on X, all the platforms are different and they warrant a different approach. That's what I had to learn for the longest time ever. I was like, I know I can send the same content, schedule, Hootsuite. LinkedIn, Instagram, completely two different audiences. LinkedIn is proper. This is business. This is where you and I meet. This is where you and I say, okay, I see your profile. Okay, Nomala, let me give you a typical example. I was booked for an MC gig by someone who just went onto LinkedIn, looked at my profile, and they felt they liked me.
Yeah.
Okay. clearly I did something right,
Yes.
right? So as I've gone, through my journey, I've invested with people to say, please help me.
Yeah.
I am not a content writer. I'm going to be honest. And too many of us want to write content, but we're not content writers. Go to the people that know what they're doing, right?
Shucks.
I'm a speaker.
Yeah.
Give me a script. I will show you down on that script and help you deliver that
Yes.
script.
Yeah.
But sometimes I don't want to create content for myself. So how do I barter? How do I work in the relationship? There's AM Studios. I'm sure there's people that can assist. So
Yeah.
my biggest thing with all of that I've said, research your audience, understand what type of content they're looking for.
Yeah.
And I'm going to also say this. If you feel that is not you, let's not go and make up things just to look good. People
Sure.
can see through you
Completely.
and too many of us are trying to put facades, beautiful stuff on Instagram and all of that. But is that the correct life that is yours? Because now don't forget, you've got a following. People are following you every day, all day. They think this is the life. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, completely different life. Yeah.
Sure.
Acting is different. You're acting because that is what you have decided to
Yes.
do, right?
Yeah.
You've been given a script. You were showcasing this production. Completely different. But
Yeah.
for you, who are you? I want to see the real Michelle. Like I'm having a conversation with you. I want to touch you spiritually, emotionally, mentally. Let's connect. We are spirit beings at the end of the day. And if I can sense, I know this Michelle today is due south. I woke up this morning. I was totally due south for the last 2 days. But at some point, I'm like, okay, Ntate Modimo, where are we going? What are we going to do? There are people that need to hear my story and resonate. Let's get it together.
I love that so much because even when you say that, I think I love watching the different daily shows from the States, and I realize that the person like Stephen Colbert is not the one that writes the script.
There you go.
They are writers who are professional at writing things, and he is good at presenting it in his comic way, and it is almost like the delivery guy.
There you go.
In here. Oh, I love that.
So the person that writes the script says, okay, this is the tone that I want it delivered in. But also the presenter says, okay, I look at your script. Perhaps this is how we deliver it. So it's a co-creation. I think a lot of people think you need to do it by yourself. No, collaboration, partnership. How do we want to deliver? How do we want our audience on the other side digitally, face to face? What do they want them to take out? What do they want them to feel? So it will always be a partnership. Don't think you have to do it on your own. You know, I mean, I did my first keynote in Kenya last year. I was like, Lord, I can't do this. I don't want to do this. They wrote me the keynote.
Okay.
I got on stage day 2. So day 1, I was sitting like everybody. I'm a guest, I'm attending.
Just watching.
Who are you? No, I'm from South Africa. I got the graveyard shift, by the way.
Ooh.
So you can imagine. So day 1, people are conferenced out. I went to the MC. I said, Sissy, please can I ask you for something? I want to do a song when I get on. This is how I break the ice. I'm sure this Kenyan lady looked at me and thought, oh, she's forward. But anyway, long story short, I come back. It's after lunch. People are full. It's day 2. And okay, when do we finish? We hit that Loba Loba song. The entire audience stood up. And this is 7 countries. And I'm just like, okay, Lord, this is what I do. This is what I do best. I'm like, come on, guys, and we're doing selfies. By the time I started my keynote, I was like, okay, I've got this. Back to you. There was silence until the end. And they're like, okay, who are you? I'm just like, I'm Nomalanga. I'm a speaker, you know? So understand also the rooms that you play in. I always say, when you walk into a room, read the room. Right? So yes, they've written the script for you. You're the presenter. But there's also another added factor in the communication space is your audience. Whether it's online, whether it's face-to-face, you have to be able to read the room. Even online, I do a lot of webinars. I've learned to read the room. And I just pick on people. Give me your Colgate Sensodyne, Aquafresh Sense all in one. And that person goes from to... And I'm like, yeah, I got you, you know. So you have to have your ways of how do you break ice? How do you open a space for somebody who's probably feeling, okay, what am I going to get here? And there's people that just come on online just to see, who are you? What are you saying? Does it make sense? And then the minute you drop something, the minute you pick them up, it's like, oh, okay, I'm in the right space. So very key, read your audience. That is also part of communication.
Oh, so you're a bit... I love when you talk, because then I'm thinking in all these pictures and I'm drawing them out in my head. And when you say that, one of the things I'm seeing the most is like, the person that is it a conductor at the orchestra? It's like that's what you are when you are on stage.
Can I hide? I'm
Right?
a conductor for the choir at church.
You see how it comes together?
Oh,
Yes,
my yeah.
that's what you're doing when
Absolutely.
you get a stage. Is you're basically
Absolutely.
conducting emotion. You're conducting how people feel. You're conducting just the energy in the
There you
room.
go.
You're trying to pick up the ones that are down and try to keep the ones that are up where they are. It's like there's so much work other than just you speaking that you need to do. I love that so much. Let's talk body language because that's also another form of yes, lungis. That's also another form of communication, which is
Absolutely.
body language. I was doing a talk at a conference a few days ago called Esther Arise, and I had an aha moment. Were you there?
No,
but-
yeah, something just dropped.
Is it? Yeah, but that was an amazing conference. And I was speaking there, and right after I spoke, I decided to stay for the rest of the other sessions. And there were these young people that came onto stage, and they were like kind of dancing to a song, and they were dancing really beautifully. And I thought to myself, I mean, it's simple dancing, like it's nothing hectic. It's not a toalata. It's not. It's
Yeah.
just like with airy clothes and just
Yeah.
dancing. But I was so intrigued, and I enjoyed the dance, and I asked myself, like, what part of this dance am I enjoying? And then I realized it's because they are enjoying dancing.
There you go.
It's because they are smiling and they are lit up throughout the entire thing, that even just their body language is showing the joy and the love and just they're so into it that I have no choice. They're capturing me into it. And I want to chat to you a bit about body language. What do we mean when we say that your body language is important? Do I have to be like up straight and like talk like this? How do I ease into a good body language that commands presence on stage?
So body language is all about how comfortable you are in the space that you're in, right? 93% of communication is nonverbal.
93.
When I Googled it, I nearly had a... Because I teach a lot about the art of communication, and 7% is verbal. But we always flip and we focus on the verbal.
Of course.
Versus. So if I had to sit in your studio and sit like this, guests would already... What's our problem?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm comfortable and I'm able to just... That's a completely different...
Yes.
Even the way you speak, your lungs, the air that's inside of you projects differently.
Yeah.
So people need to understand body language is key. We are African. I grew up where they say you don't look at an elder
Yes.
person
In the
immature in
eye,
the
yes.
eyes, right? That is
Yeah.
disrespect. However, because of the schools that I went to,
Yeah. Eye contact was key.
eye contact was key, right? And so when I got into corporate, I was not afraid to look at the people and say, hey, my name is Nomalanga Sitole, this is what I do.
Yes.
Whereas other people are just like, there,
Yeah.
right? That for somebody else's culture. So remember, culture also plays a part of
That's true.
non-verbal communication. Some people may find that as not comfortable. Right? Even as a speaker, there are times I'm looking at roofs and I'm at ceilings and I'm like, Norms, focus.
Yes.
And what I've been taught as a speaker is if you're not comfortable looking at the entire audience, pick somebody in the room
Yes.
and make that
Yeah,
your
I
contact
always do
person,
that.
right?
Yeah.
Look at a friendly face in the
Yes.
audience
Yeah.
and just smile. Back to orchestra. When you are speaking, understand people will feel you, the entire you, from the crowns of your head to the soles of your feet, how you stand, how you use your hands.
Yeah.
I was told if you sit like this, you are showing nervousness. If you sit like this, clasp, you are like, okay, please don't get next to me. So understand certain movements will make you open to your audience.
Sure.
Certain movements will be distracting.
Yes.
And certain movements will get people just looking at you because they feel you, they feel how you speak. That eye contact makes a huge difference.
Yes.
Right?
Sure.
And some person can come in looking so depressed and so upset, but just by you smiling, I always say to people, your smile is your signature.
I
No
love
matter
that.
how angry you are, just smile to the next person. It costs you
love that.
absolutely zero. Research says we use more muscles frowning than muscles smiling. Right? Your smile brings about a warmth that somebody may not be feeling.
Yeah.
At the age of about, I think, 19 or 20 or 21, somebody looked at me and he said, Nomalanga, how are you? I said, I'm fine. He says, your eyes show me a different picture. I wanted to cry. Because at that point in time, I was not fine.
Yeah.
Understand your eyes as well.
Shucks.
Your eyes say something.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, wow.
The way you walk says something. The way you pull your feet or you walk like, hey, I've got
Yes.
this walk.
Yes.
Let's go to Olympics. I was watching the Olympics the other day.
Yeah.
And it was a doubles tennis, I think, or badminton, one of the two, Chinese
Yeah.
people. This is what the commentator said.
Yes.
They walked in there like the gold medalists that they are, and they hadn't even won the match.
Ooh.
And yes, they went on to win it. I mean, the Republic of China is doing a lot on the medals table.
Yeah.
That gobsmacked me. So what do you walk into a room as? The winner that you are? My nail technician always says to me, Nomalanga, don't look like your problems come. Let's fix your nails. Okay, girl. Like, I don't think it's okay.
Let's
She
go.
fixed my nails. Literally, when I leave, I'm always
Yeah, it's like now you're
it's like
excited.
change the entire environment. So understand body language, how you dress, how you must be comfortable as well.
Comfortability is a big thing. I've picked that up. Like if I'm not comfortable in what I'm wearing, it will show up in how I speak.
There you go. And then the entire time you're
Yes, and you're constantly pulling the dress
and
down.
you're like-
Or
and then I'm like, girl, why did you do that to yourself?
yeah.
And then you wear heels that are overly uncomfortable.
Yes.
I mean, I know my heels can last 30 minutes max. After that, I'm gone.
Like thanks.
Thanks. So I've learned, okay, actually, tackies and suits look just
yes.
as. If I want to feel like healing up, let's do that. But
Yes.
I must be comfortable, because when I'm uncomfortable, you will see it right through my talk. You will see it right through my body language. And that is so key, especially for us women. Gentlemen have it
Yeah.
easier.
Yes,
Right?
100%.
They have it so much easier.
Yeah.
And I always say to women, if the other sister is not looking okay, please fix her crown.
Yes.
Fix her invisible
Yes.
crown. Like, I get people who will not tell you you've got spinach in your teeth. Meanwhile,
Yes.
the entire time they're talking to you. You've got lipstick. Meanwhile, by the time you're done, oh, Norms, fix your lipstick. I'm like, I've just done a whole interview, or I've
say
done a whole speech, and
nothing.
you say nothing. I fix. Fam, I fix. Like, I'm like, okay, your top or whatever. The gentleman, I'll be like, "Ikaraj livuliwe." And then I move on.
Yeah, like fix it.
That fix it.
I love that so much. I love that so much. And when you mention comfortability, it's actually like so true, and it's so key to a lot of people. And I think an element of that also is like loving on yourself and taking care of yourself. Yeah, it's because when you look good and you feel good and your nails are done, your hair is done, there's like a certain level of confidence that you exude. So ungaziyekeleli.
There you go.
You know, you literally just have to make sure that every single time you are looking and feeling great.
Yeah.
I love that.
And sometimes people think you have to do a face beat every single day. Sometimes just putting on lipstick,
Yes.
doing a little bit of the brows,
Yes. That's it.
and walk out, go to the mall. I mean, I die when I see people wearing slippers to the mall. I'm like, what? Who did that?
Illegal.
Please, social police, where are you?
Yeah.
Because family, you
Yeah.
could walk into a mall and meet a Michelle. That could be your next client.
Yes.
My cousin and I were talking about business class yesterday, and he's like, Norms, business class people have the time to just sit and relax.
Yes.
You're sitting in economy, kids are screaming, this and that. If
Hey.
you can afford it,
You just can't wait.
bless yourself
Yeah.
with it. Business class people will talk differently. Business class people will get into a business class conversation.
Yes.
You never, and I always say to people, as you walk out of your house, think of the next person you meet. Could be your biggest client.
Yes.
Could you be your biggest ally?
Yeah.
Could be your next biggest whatever you've been asking for.
Yes, yeah.
You are your 30-second pitch without opening your
Yes.
mouth.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
Never thought of that. But yeah.
That is so true. Have you ever like come across, and I know I have, and a couple of people, where you go to a place and you meet somebody or somebody's speaking, and it's like, yeah, I don't agree with what they're saying, but the level of confidence they're saying it with makes me question, am I right to not agree? Like, him? Like, am I the problem? Because this person is so confident in what they're saying, and they're showing up. And I'm just like, no, that's not true. I don't agree with that. But it's like, no, but they keep going. They're not fazed by my invalidation or my lack of validation for what they're saying. Oh,
But they're so confident in what they are saying. And sometimes they know it's probably not the right thing. but
Exactly.
that confidence level,
Yes.
you buy into it, then you go think at home, hang on, I'm not going to mention his name, but yeah. I'm sure, yeah.
Yes.
Nene.
Ngiyakuzwa.
We are engaged. That guy can sell you anything. You'll be like, yeah.
Yes.
Only afterwards you're like, hang on.
yeah.
Did that resonate
Yeah.
with me the right way? Or
Yeah.
because of the confidence
Yeah.
he exudes, you're like, ay man, this has to be true.
So he's taken charge of the entire room from an energetic point of view, that you have no choice than to just take his lead.
Whether it's a room, whether it's in his car,
Yes.
wherever,
Yeah.
he knows how the people will buy into that confidence
Yes.
level. So yeah, interesting.
Yo.
We don't even need to mention a name, right?
Hey, it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting. So I want to get it a little bit into. I'm running out of time, but I want to get it a little bit into elevator pitch. Yeah, there are a lot of entrepreneurs that watch this podcast, and it's always like, and we talk a lot about introducing yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, we talk a lot about introducing your business and what you
Yes.
do, etc.,
Yes.
etc., to make it easy for people to understand. So maybe just before we get into that, actually, when we talk about introducing ourselves, we are Africans, and this is where this podcast is airing, where English is not our first home language for a lot of us.
Yeah.
Meaning that we learn English either when we go to varsity, should we get the opportunity to go to varsity, or here and there on TV, you know. And when we do learn that English, it does not come with the accent that it is presented in.
Yeah.
It comes with a specific accent that is native and belongs to
you.
us.
Yeah.
How do we develop confidence in speaking with that accent? Because I think society at large, you'll find somebody will say something that is so great, but because they didn't say it in the right accent, or they said it in an interesting accent, people talk a little bit about it. And then you have the people that feel like they don't have the accent, feeling like, well, I can't really speak because I'm not going to sound like her or like him. How do we get past that?
You have a message to say. You have a message to pass. I know it's always, but English, it has to be like this. It has to be. I did Cambridge. I did this.
Yes.
Fam, know your story.
Yeah.
Know your content.
Yeah.
Present it the best way.
Yeah.
The right people will resonate with you. Hashtag.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The right people
love that.
will resonate with you.
Yes.
When I started my business, I'd get people saying, oh, you speak so well.
Yeah.
How do I respond to that?
Yeah.
How am I supposed to speak?
Yes.
Like how? Like, okay,
Yeah.
like tell me. Like, okay, fine. I don't come across with an African accent, but I was blessed to have gone to a convent, good school, but this is who I am, right? And I didn't know how to respond to that. I'll just say thanks. And then somebody said, say to them, how did you expect me to speak? I've never gotten there.
Yeah.
But I also find, and I've done this where people are pitching and they are French speaking or whatever speaking. It is difficult,
Yes.
right? But I go back to know your content.
Yes.
Know what you want to say.
Yeah.
Internalize what you want to say. It will come out easier. Back to your conducting. We always say to the team, if you know the lyrics of the song, your delivery will be totally different.
Yes.
If you don't know the lyrics of the song, you will fumble.
Of course.
So now you don't know the lyrics or the content of what you want to say. Now you've got a language barrier. Oh, that's a lot.
Yes.
That's a lot going on.
Yes.
So
Very
please
much.
know your content. I always say to entrepreneurs, especially in the marketplace, people buy from people and people buy your why.
That's
Why are you
true.
doing? Why are you doing?
Yeah.
The Power of Why by who's that?
Simon
Stephen
Sinek.
that one. Why are you doing what you are doing?
Yeah.
I speak because I enjoy it. I speak because I love the entertainment and the eventing industry. I speak because I know there are people that God has placed me on this earth to impact.
Sure.
What is your why?
Yeah.
My why is especially around the young generation. How do we empower? How do we transform? How do we impact? So my voice has got that generation to impact. So why are you doing your why? We've got passion. We've got purpose.
Yeah.
Let's not chase after the money. I always say the word provision, God will provide for the vision.
Yeah.
You do what you've been called to do, Michelle. You do what you've been called to do. Africa needs people like you and I, right?
Yeah.
So back to your question, please prepare, know your content. If you're going to speak to your heart, and I always say to people, if you find your Zulu word, your Tswana word, your Xhosa word coming, that's you. That's your authentic self.
Yes.
Even French-speaking people would rather speak in French because their delivery is better,
Yes.
and then they get someone to translate. We've got those options. I do
Yeah.
events in Maputo. I'm speaking in English. Everybody else is speaking in Portuguese.
Yeah.
And then they've got translators in the booth so that their people can hear. I've got a translator so I can hear the Portuguese.
Yes.
You know, but also learn the greetings. It is so beautiful to walk into a venue and greet people in the native language.
Yes.
Bon dia!
Yeah.
And everybody goes, bon dia! That's good morning.
They connect
And
with
they
you.
connect.
I love
Learn the thank yous.
Yes.
Obrigado. You know, the small nuggets of people's language.
Yeah.
Makes a difference.
Yeah.
Even if you don't pronounce it correctly, they will laugh with you
Yes.
and not at you.
Because you tried. Because you tried.
bonsoir, bonjour, ça va, je m'appelle, and then you say, okay, fam, that is my data bundles for French time.
Yeah.
Then you carry
And then-
on, right?
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
But being able to relate with
There you
people
go.
wherever they are,
There you go.
with what you have.
With what you
I love that you answered that so
Ooh,
beautifully.
With what you have. That's a whole podcast
Hey!
altogether.
With what you have.
Yeah.
Nomalanga, thank you for indulging us. I feel so blessed. It's always such an honor and a privilege when we have experts like you come and share the expertise on this podcast, because I promise you there are certain life lessons that can save you so much money and time if you just watched a podcast episode and learned that maybe let me not wear a pencil skirt because angitandi, the way that it holds me. Maybe let me be free so that I can speak properly. Do you hear that? It's like those small little
hits.
things.
Because then you're like, this pencil skirt is going up, and you're like, but why is it going up?
Yes.
Like, can it just
and
stay
then
down?
it's either too tight or it's like, but when you're comfortable, it's like you speak a certain. I loved when you said that, because that for me was just like, that's actually a big component of like how you rock up will essentially influence the things that you say. And same online is how you rock up online. Because if you tell us a lie, now you must show up and speak a lie. And it's not going to be believable. But if you show us the authentic you and
go.
everything that you are made of, with what you have, where you are, and your struggles, you'll be able to speak much more better to us.
Vulnerability.
Yeah.
Allow yourself. Me, I cry, fam. Like I say to people, when God gave tears, I was there first prize. Because people will relate with your tears as well.
Yeah,
Remember when
that's
you're telling your story? I go back to storytelling. It's so key. Your story, this is my quote. I wrote it in COVID, and it says, a nugget of your story can propel somebody else to live out their purpose and their destiny.
Wow.
Say your story. Sometimes we are so ingrained into our story, no one must find out about it. Oh my gosh, it was horrible, it was this, it was that. Do you know that? But just you opening up can change someone's thought process to say, but Michelle went through this, surely I can too. So I'll say to your audience, Resonate audience, be authentic, be vulnerable, show up the way you would like to be seen. Remember, communication, there's a received message and the perceived message. So how do you want to be received? And lastly, just be you. Read the room. Walk in there, introduce yourself the African way. Nomalanga, ntombi wala malanga, kajove, kamajana, umondisi.
Thank you so much. Nomalanga Sitole, everybody. Thank you so much for indulging us with your wisdom. We really love and appreciate you on the Resonate podcast. And we can't wait to see what you're about to do. In the future, all those books you're about to write.
Sorry guys, yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Resonate community, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. And I really hope that you took the most important nugget, which is really confidence, authenticity, and a lot of things that Nomalanga spoke about. We love you guys so much, and we hope that this was fruitful. This was the meat that you guys always have on the Resonate podcast, and we'll see you guys on our next podcast episode. Goodbye.